This woman's feet suddenly left the ground, and her body slowly began to levitate. Her husband, terrified by what he saw, immediately dialed 911. The paramedics rushed to the scene, but despite their best efforts, they couldn't get Via's feet to touch the ground again, let alone move her an inch. As the hours quietly ticked by, the doctors were stunned to discover that Via was floating a few centimeters higher than before. Faced with such a bizarre situation, they were at a loss, with no solution in sight. All they could do was draw Via's blood, hoping to find answers through further testing. Suspended in midair, Via's life became incredibly challenging. Going to the bathroom, eating, and even sleeping could only be done while floating. As the days went by, Via continued to rise, and before long, she reached the ceiling. At this point, an expert arrived. After conducting a series of detailed experiments on Via, she solemnly informed everyone that, at Via's current rate of ascent, she would reach an altitude of 12,000 feet within 10 weeks. At that height, Via would not only need to stay warm but also require an ample supply of oxygen. In a few more months, she would break through the Kármán line, leaving Earth and entering outer space, which would mean the end of her life. Yet, even now, the experts and scholars could neither find the cause of Via's peculiar phenomenon nor come up with a solution. The only thing they could do was to make Via as comfortable as possible. This devastating news left Via's husband and daughter instantly lost and helpless. Via's eyes brimmed with tears, her heart filled with frustration, but she was powerless to change anything. Since Via had already reached the ceiling, her husband had no choice but to cut a hole in the second-floor floorboard so that Via could stretch her body and stand upright. However, Via continued to rise, quickly reaching their daughter's room on the second floor. The daughter, heartbroken for her mother, wanted to give up her exams and stay home to spend more time with her. Upon hearing this, Via angrily scolded her daughter, telling her to prioritize her studies and not be affected by her own situation. Even though they deeply loved and cared for each other, their words seemed to carry thorns, full of hurt. Via's sister dressed her in a beautiful gown, while her husband brought red wine, hoping to spend a romantic evening together as a family. Since they couldn't change the ultimate outcome, they cherished every moment they had together. One day, their daughter came home from school and saw a rope tied around her mother's foot, with Via crying out in pain. It turned out that her husband couldn't bear to let his wife go and had tied a rope around her foot. The daughter, seeing this, wanted to cut the rope, but her father stopped her. At that moment, they heard the sound of Via's ankle dislocating. Finally, the husband realized that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't stop his wife from leaving. A week later, Via's body had risen to the height of the roof.